Well, why don't we get started? Let's welcome everyone here today. I will introduce myself briefly, Neil Roseman. I am the CEO of Invicti, and I am very fortunate to have with me Sufi Kankert, our Strategic Accounts Director, and Ben Strozakowski, who is our Application Security Manager. And I'm going to hopefully be really brief and turn it over to the smart people in the room, Sufi and Ben, who are both going to talk to you about the future of application security and our proof-based ASPM and why that will be important to you. And then we're going to get a demo of some of the amazing capabilities that Ben will provide for us. So I want to start with why we wanted to put these companies together and what they are. And the first thing I want to get across is that the products you know and love, Acunetics, NetSparker, and Kondukto, really now are the Invicti application security platform. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what the motivation is, why we wanted to acquire Kondukto and work closely with that team, and what we're building. And one reason is that you want to do always what you always look at when you're building a team, the people. And one thing that we were very fortunate with is this is a leadership team that we knew well as an engineering organization with Sufi, Cenk, and Jan, the founders of Kondukto, that we knew would add great people to our organization. Second, it's a superior product that makes sense for what our customers wanted. So you always need to listen to your customers and try and go where they're going. And we knew that this was a great need for our customers, and we're going to talk about that a lot in the rest of this webinar. But we knew Kondukto was the right product to do that. And we knew that we could enhance our abilities, our capabilities, and make our customers' security better by doing this. So what do we have now that we put this all together? Well, one thing I wanted to get across is, you'll hear a lot about shift left, shift right, shift up, shift down, shift into neutral, whatever your shifter does. We actually would rather you think about not shifting, but cover everything that's important with a singular industry-leading application security platform from CI/CD through production environments. And that's what we've built. And with our new platform, it's even better than our previous industry-leading products. It's faster. Our measurements show up to 8 times faster. We have a host of new capabilities in our core, in DAST, API, and other best-of-breed scanning. But more importantly, we're expanding this to be the best application security platform end-to-end that you can buy. And the newest part of that is it's anchored by this proof-based ASPM. So Invicti has long been the pioneer of proof-based, zero-noise approach to application security, and now we're extending that to have the first proof-based ASPM. Why do we want to do this? Well, mainly because there's a lot of pain out there. Application security teams have too few people that have to cover too many developers, too many applications without enough staff. And in addition to that, the environment is more dynamic than ever. AI will both help us build amazing new AI-based application security products, which we will talk about, but AI even more advantages attackers over defenders. So if anything, the application security environment in a post-AI code generation world is more risky than it was before. So one thing we want to do is make sure we can continue to protect you in this new world of ever new and increasing threats. Lastly, before I turn it over to Sufi, we've moved a lot of security to things like DevOps, DevSecOps, and it's accelerating the discovery of all of these vulnerabilities in our applications, but they're getting harder and harder to manage. So there's overwhelming tool sprawl, vulnerability sprawl, application sprawl, and a lack of collaboration makes it really hard for you to find the vulnerabilities and really quickly get to remediation for them. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Sufi, where he can take us deep into what the ASPM is and does. And so I'd like to introduce Sufi Kankert, our Director of Strategic Accounts, and I am going to stop sharing and let him share. Sufi, it's all yours.
All right. Hi, Neil. Thank you for the introduction, and hi, everyone. I'm Supi Cankurt, and Strategic Account Director at Invicti and part of the ASPM team. So I spent almost a decade in application security space, so working with security engineers, application security managers. So when Neil explained all these challenges and lack of talent and all these problems, so these are not market trends to me or theoretical things. So it's like every day what I work with. And Neil also explained like why Invicti acquired Kondukto, and it was also our customers were like quite loud and clear. So they were saying us that they don't need more tools, they don't need like more findings, they need like focus. And this is exactly what Invicti ASPM does. So like think about like a typical day for application security engineers. So in application security, you have like some DAST running, you have SAST and SCA in your CI/CD, you may have like container security running, you may have cloud security posture management. So you have a lot of tools. You have a lot of raw findings coming from everywhere, but you don't have a clear picture. So these tools do not talk to each other. And in the end, like you have like 5 different dashboards, 5 different severity scales, and maybe like 5 versions of the truth. And this is exactly what Invicti ASPM address. When if you think about also like maybe like a personal story. So if you go back like 20 years, so when I was a developer, so we were writing the code directly and uploading to the production via FTP. So it is from that time, like from uploading codes to the FTP, it changed a lot. Like that's not today's reality. Today we have microservices. Today we have CI/CD pipelines, like regular releases. And this transformation happening in development environment, now the security is actually going into the same kind of a transformation. And this is like what ASPM based on. Like for this challenge, like in the market, and this transformation happening in 3 main categories, 3 main steps in ASPM. So the first step is centralizing all the findings. So Invicti ASPM connects all the tools that you use. Like you can have SaaS tools, SCA tools, container security. You can all commercial tools can be integrated into Invicti ASPM. And once you integrate all these tools, you can either trigger a new scan, or you can just fetch the result, or you can trigger an automated validation scan. So like all these data will be flowing in a single dashboard. It will be the first thing we do with like clearing that data, like normalizing those findings, and then deduplicating and going into the correlation. You all know like many different tools are reporting the same findings, and you end up like 9 different tickets for the same vulnerability, and no one wants to have those. It's frustrating for development teams, it's frustrating for security, and trust also goes down on that. And this is why in Invicti ASPM, when you import any SAST, SCA, or container security findings, it will be automatically deduplicated. And also, you may find a similar or same vulnerability in different environments. Like maybe you find the issue in your source code, and then your DAST tool also detect a similar vulnerability, or maybe in containers in cloud. So in Invicti's correlation assistant, you can to create these logics and intelligence. But let's say your SaaS tool find the issue, but you're not really sure that if it's like a real or true or false positive. But if let's say Invicti ASPM, like Invicti DAST, also find a similar issue with a confirmed, like with a proof-based scanning, but then the picture changed actually. So it's like now 2 to and with a high accuracy, it's confirming the same issue. So now it looks like more of an issue that you need to be addressed immediately. So it helps you to prioritize and to merge these different vulnerabilities in a single ticket. And after centralizing all these tools and with all the normalization, we can move into the prioritization stage. So you gather like these thousands of findings, like you can have like 10,000 findings, but what Invicti ASPM does to tell that you need to fix these 25 of them first. So the scan result is not just enough to make that kind of a prioritization. So we use business context in it. We use threat intelligence. We may use if that project is internet facing, or if there's a like known exploit. So those all risk contexts will be used to prioritization, and it will be happening automatically. So when you open your dashboard, you will see exactly what you need to work today. And the third stage will be automation. When we prioritize and when we start doing our triage and remediation work, if something is repetitive, we can turn them into an automation. So let's say if a vulnerability coming from a pen test result, or if a vulnerability coming with a great Invicti DAST confirmed is like a proof vulnerability, meaning that this is 100% a valid issue, then you may not need to like triage that issue, and you can automatically create a ticket. And that ticket, like the Invicti, automatically creates Jira or any other issue ticketing systems. That ticket created for developers, and when developers work on those issues, let's say they close the ticket, it means they fix the issue. Invicti ASPM can trigger the same one scan to validate the issue actually. So it's like if the issue is already fixed, if the scanner doesn't find it again, everyone happy, it's closed. But if the issue is still there, it will reopen the ticket. And those things will be happening like automatically. And this is quite a trouble for many teams. Like even this morning, I had a meeting with a large enterprise, and they have around like 5-6 different tools. And what they told me that they gather this result from the tool as CSV file, and they stitch them together and turn into master spreadsheet, distribute into the different teams. So like teams getting those Excel sheets and working on them and sending a response saying like we fixed this, then the security team run these scans again. So there's a lot of the back and forth, these emails going on. Even by itself, this another attack surface for doing back and forth on this. And in 2025, application security people still struggling with the Excel sheets, and that's definitely not the the best way of doing it. And with automation, like the same capability, the same engine can be used to implement these security policies as well. So you can actually create a standard for your company for development, and this will be followed automatically. You can integrate Invicti ASPM into your CI/CD pipeline, and you can create like rules and policies like if an issue coming from pen tester team, break the pipeline, or if it's the confirmed, create the ticket automatically. Or then you can say like if a critical vulnerability is created already and no one is touched for 7 days, send an email to the team lead for that particular issue. And then let's say if nothing happened after like 13 days, it will escalate as well. So you can create those kind of automation like notifications. Or it can be even like you are getting some SCA findings, but those are maybe like unreachable. So you can automatically mark those unreachable, unexploitable vulnerabilities as like won't fixed. So it will be automatically triage for the things that you already decide. And maybe I can talk about a little bit like what is unique about Invicti ASPM in the market. Invicti ASPM is the most established solution in the market. Like we've been doing this for years, like even before ASPM becomes an attention for the industry or as a buzzword. So the second thing is Invicti ASPM is totally vendor agnostic. So we don't force you to use some certain tools, and Invicti ASPM can connect with any tools without limitation. It's all about like the platform adapts to you rather than other way around, like rather than you need to changing the way you work. And depth of integration also quite important in ASPM market. Like if you go and check like any vulnerability management solution in the market, they always integrate it with like Jira, right? They have Jira integration. But are you supporting only like a standard issue creation, or you may have like very complicated than that? Because Jira is the same Jira only for the first week for the companies. Then every team creating their own custom variables like status and workflows. There's a lot of change. And in the Invicti ASPM, we have in the maturity level of once you integrate with your Jira instance, Invicti ASPM fetches all the custom finding, like custom vulnerabilities, like custom fields and everything, and then you map them with the fields. And in that way, when you create a ticket, it will be exactly reflecting the way that you work. So it wouldn't look like a new way for the developers. And the last thing about the uniqueness on Invicti ASPM, the deployment options. So Invicti ASPM, you can directly use as a SaaS in the cloud, whichever region you prefer. And also it supports like full on-premise. So you can even deploy Invicti ASPM into air-gap network. Like many of our large enterprises, like companies like the governmental companies or airlines or companies who hold high intellectual property, so they can totally utilize in the ASPM on-premise. To make like a recap, so what we do is like to getting all the scan result in a single place, like centralizing, having a unified view, then prioritizing with business risk context, and cutting the effort like up to 50% for triage and remediation. So these are the items that we focus. And these are not practical change, like these are not theoretical things. So it will immediately affect on this. So before moving to Ben to have actually looking how this works, so I'm saying that after the webinar, contact us and ask for an ASPM POC so we can connect with your tools and start prioritizing. So you will have the first-hand experience and things will change in a week. Thanks, Ben. So you can show us.
And
how
let's
it works.
we're going to hand it over to Ben. And I would just point out, thanks, Sufi. I'm going to stop sharing here. Ben, are you ready?
Ready.
We have, the world out there of your application security tools. It's like Jenga, right? You're afraid to pull one out because if you do, the whole thing will crumble. And one thing that you'll see when Ben demos this is we're not going to lock you in to only using our tools. If you have tools that you already like, they will work with Invicti's ASPM and make your application security better. So I did want to touch on that. In a world where there are talent shortages and these challenges, it's really important to make the most out of the tooling you have. Turn it over to you, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Supi. Today, I'm so excited to preview for you the Invicti ASPM platform. As Supi mentioned, we have both the SaaS offering as well as an on-premise, and we do work with air-gap networks. To start out with, we work with your SSO provider to provide full RBAC controls, including fine-grained custom roles for your users. So working with Okta or one of your other providers, we can easily onboard your entire team with the correct roles and permissions already established. Let's go ahead and log in with our SAML login here. Take a look at the global dashboard. So the global dashboard in Invicti ASPM is your one-stop shop, your single pane of glass for the current status of your application security platform. And from here, we can take some quick look at some of the actions we can take from the main dashboard. We can see how many projects our team has, as well as our average risk score for the overall projects that we have. One key thing to point out here is the 8 with known exploit link, which takes us to a list of items which have been found by threat intelligence to have a known exploit out in the wild, so that your team really has that right up in front and important information of what to fix first. Here on the dashboard, we can filter the views to take a look at our AppSec program or our infrastructure vulnerabilities as well. And with all of these different charts, they're interactive as well as customizable. So you can customize the dates, take a look at different sets of data as you are working here. And to really get the exact look at the program that you're looking for the current moment. This is highly customizable with different filters based on different types of scanners, as well as your projects, teams, and labels. These can all be saved to a custom dashboard so that you get that view every time you log in. Additionally, we do have some other charts that can be added to this dashboard, and all of these things can be rearranged in order to really just customize that to your needs there. So we talked about a little bit about the dashboard here, and so want to talk a little bit about the structure of how Invicti ASPM works with your application security program. So in Invicti ASPM, we have the concept of projects, and with projects, project is equal to a source code repository. Now, obviously, many of the products that our customers have aren't just one single source code repository. So we roll the hierarchy up from projects to products. So a product can contain many different projects. And then we can also roll that up to the larger units, which are called business units. When we take a look at a product, we get a dashboard that includes the data for all of the projects that are underneath that product. And here we can also download these reports as a PNG or a PDF. But this gives you that overview with the tight grouping of just the things that are inside that product in that view. Teams are also customizable to products and projects. So your view using our RBAC controls will be completely customized to exactly what you want your users to see. So take a little bit deeper dive in here and take a look at some projects. And we'll take a look at the project dashboard. Now, this is very similar to the product dashboard, but we do have a few key insights here that are available for our projects specifically. We can see the composition of the type of technology that is being used by the project. And we can also see the various different stages that we're scanning our project using Invicti ASPM. So you can see here we have secret scanning, we have static analysis, we have software composition analysis, and finally we have dynamic analysis using Invicti. So as a combination, we can pull all of this data into your projects in order to get that information straight to you. So, but first, how do we integrate our projects? How do we pull those over into our system? Let's talk about integrations with Invicti ASPM. So generally speaking, we start out with your application lifecycle management, which is where your source code repositories live. We integrate with the majority of ALM providers, and we provide just a very simple interface to grab a token and to integrate with your appropriate vendor. Additionally, we can actually onboard projects directly from your ALM provider. Just by clicking a few buttons, we can pull a project into Invicti ASPM and create the automations that are necessary to get your program up and running. Additionally, to the application lifecycle management, you want to have your issue managers. Now, every team has a different issue manager, and each issue manager is highly customized to the workflows of that team. So here in Invicti ASPM, we do integrate with Jira and have highly customizable settings so that the way that your team's workflow works can be transferred over into Invicti ASPM. Additionally, with Jira, we have two-way communication, so your developers can spend their time in the Jira tickets without having to log into the Kondukto interface, but still be able to submit things like false positive requests or won't fix requests, those sorts of things. Next up, we have our notification tools. So once you have an automation in place, you want to create that ticket, but now you want to let your team know ahead of time. So this way you can make a notification to Slack, given some sort of criteria in your automation rules. And finally, I want to talk real quick about how Invicti ASPM enhances the data once it is ingested. So we have a couple of different ways that Invicti ASPM can enhance that data coming from your scanner, which includes threat intelligence. Now, out of the box, we integrate with CSAKEV and EPSS to bring in that real-world data for your vulnerabilities and match to what is going on in the current scale, not just what your tool said was the case. So here we can allow Invicti ASPM to automatically upgrade or downgrade the severity of a vulnerability according to that real-world data and whether it is exploited out there. So we do integrate with custom threat intelligence databases as well. So if your team already has some sort of database, we can work through that. Additionally, we have partnerships with Secure Code Warrior and Secure Flag to bring training for your developers to attach to the vulnerability triage screens so that your developers have that extra bit of information alongside of the details for the vulnerability to make remediation just a little bit quicker. And lastly, our integrations wouldn't be complete without our scanners to actually pull that data over. So with over 100 different integrations, as well as the ability to create custom integrations, Invicti ASPM is very ready to meet you where your team is already working. We don't need you to adopt new tools or anything like that in order to get going. So Invicti ASPM does interface with many of the commercial tools that are out there, but we also interface with open source tools such as SemGrep CE or Bandit. And Invicti ASPM is capable of orchestrating these tools directly from the web interface. So you don't need to have your system administrators or your network administrators to spin up a new server in order to add some new capabilities for your team. You can easily add secret scanning or SAST or what have you directly from the Invicti ASPM interface. So here we also have a custom integration. So if your tool that your team is already using is not currently supported by Invicti ASPM, we provide a way for you to map the results file from that tool directly to the fields that Invicti ASPM is looking for. So we cover a wide range of different types of testing, as well as our infrastructure for either cloud security posture management or straight up infrastructure scanning with things like Rapid7. So let's take a moment and take a look at the vulnerability data that one would get from your ASPM here. So we've already run several different types of scans with our demo project here, as you can see. And we're able to find several different types of vulnerabilities across those various stages of scanning. And as you can see in the vulnerability database, this is one big long list of all the vulnerabilities that are associated with this particular project. You can easily do searches by vulnerability name or use one of our quick filters to find a highlighted amount of information to make your triage just that much quicker. Additionally, for every field that a scanner or a scanner provides, we allow you to create a filter on that information. So if you wanted to take a look at, say, if you wanted to take a look at vulnerabilities that were found by Invicti that also carry the confirmed tag from the Invicti scanner and have a rating of a critical 10.0, we can easily filter that down and create that view for you directly. So let's take a look at another way that Invicti ASPM enhances the data coming from your scanners, and that's with deduplication. So Invicti ASPM will automatically group multiple vulnerabilities together from the same scanner or the same type of scanner in order to reduce the amount of noise that your team is seeing in that vulnerability database. I'd like to dive in directly into a finding so that we can take a look at what Invicti ASPM is showing to the users and how we can start working with this data. So we'll take a look at this local file inclusion that was found by the Invicti DAST scanner. As you can see, right when we open up, right up top, we have this nice badge that says confirmed. This is data that's coming directly from the Invicti scanner, and you know that this is proof-based and that this is a true vulnerability that you will have to address. All of the data that you would expect from your Invicti DAST scan is available, as well as a link directly to that vulnerability in the Invicti platform. So that way your team can directly go look at that evidence. We keep everything, including the HTTP request and response, to show that this is the vulnerable endpoint so that your team is ready to go. For each vulnerability, we also have the ability for your team to set the risk accepted or false positive type flags. Now, for your developer users, these flags are not automatically accepted. They're actually sent into a suppression requests queue to be read by team leads or admins. So that way you have that extra layer of protection against accidentally marking things false positive. They can be reviewed by another person. So we have pulled in our DAST data here, and we'd like to take some actions about it. So we can take a look and see what kind of training is available for our developers from Secure Code Warrior and Secure Flag, so that they can more easily, take a look at how the remediation is supposed to go for a vulnerability such as this. Additionally, we'd like to go ahead and say, okay, this is a confirmed vulnerability. Let's go ahead and assign this to a developer. So we'll take a look and hit assign issue. And here in the assign issue, we can assign to a Kondukto user. In this case, I'm going to assign it to the person whose code is attached to this. And we would like to say, hey, are there any other types of vulnerabilities in our database that could be correlated with this one? And so using the correlation assistant, we can see that there is a men-SAST vulnerability that has been found that is correlated directly to this DAST vulnerability. So now we're able to attach both of these vulnerabilities to a single JIRA ticket. This is the root cause. And within a few seconds, we have a single JIRA ticket that's created with all of the data from both vulnerabilities, as well as links to the Invicti platform and the Invicti ASPM for this particular vulnerability. You can see that it's assigned to a user who is, here for that, and it's carries with it the label confirmed as well. So I'd like to talk briefly about another aspect of Invicti ASPM, which is something that is currently in the minds of application security folks, and that has to do with supply chain. So with Invicti ASPM, we have the SBOM radar functionality, which allows you to import and create SBOMs from your existing scans in order for Invicti ASPM to keep track of these components. So at the global level, we're able to see a full database of all of the components that exist within all of your projects. So specifically, this may be valuable for times when there is, say, a supply chain interruption where a developer's keys are compromised and malicious versions of packages are pushed out. So from one screen in Invicti ASPM, we can easily search for a package, say color, which was recently featured in the NPM breach. And from here, we can rest assured that we don't have the vulnerable version directly here. And this is, but this does give us that view across how many projects we may be vulnerable in for that particular item. With the SBOM radar functionality, there is a background process which checks against the OSV scanner for new vulnerabilities for these packages. So each day, every 12 hours, this information is updated so that your packages and the vulnerabilities associated with those packages are always up to date with the latest. I believe that is all that I had in stock today for our demo. I'd like to give it back to Neil, and let's finish up the webinar.
Great. Thank you, Ben. And thanks for that terrific demo. I think you got to see end-to-end how we have built the most comprehensive application security platform that hits all of the words that we see on the screen here. We truly are the most scalable, the most flexible, right? In terms of both types of deployments you can do, from air-gapped, on-prem, cloud, a mixture of all of those. We also don't lock you into not using existing tools you have. We try and include all of those. It is mature. We have a lot of industry-leading tools that we have developed on the scanning side over decades. And in the case of our ASPM, one of the early industry-leading tools in this space. And we are pioneers in proof-based. And I think Ben showed that really well, how we not only find vulnerabilities, we guarantee that they are low noise, high accuracy, and not false positives by showing you exactly what you need to confirm that and speed remediation. including adding training for your developers or security engineers to help them know what to do. So with that, I want to encourage everyone, obviously, yes, please reach out to us. We'd love to give you a demo, talk to you about the product, tell you everything that we're doing, both in terms of scanning and security tools and our ASPM and AI. So we're at the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone who joined. We will reach out to everyone. We'll try and answer every question. You also have our contact information. Please reach out to us. Love to talk to you more about not only Invicti's ASPM, but really more importantly, the overall Invicti application security platform, and show you what we're doing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.